Hi guys, welcome back to Future Dimensions 360. As you know, in our last tutorial we had learned about the three core concepts of Redux. What are those? The first concept is a store that states or that stores the state of your application. Second concept was an action that describes the changes in the state of an application. The third concept was a reducer that actually carried out the state transition depending upon your action. Or you can say that the store is the one that keeps your state. Action are those that you will dispatch or you will proceed according to the intentions, and reducer are those that will allow your store to update the state on the basis of the action you will pass. That looks pretty cool, but how it relates in JavaScript code, I might be wondering that you guys have this question. We will be soon implementing that with the help of JavaScript code. But before that, let's move forward and try to learn three main principles for Redux. There are basic three principles to handle Redux. First one of those is the state of your whole application is stored in an object tree within a single store. The first thing is that you have to create a store in which you will save all the states of your application, all the states, whatever the states are available in each component, you must store all of them under a single object tree within the store. Maintain our application state in single object which would be managed by Redux Store. How it will relates to our example of cake shop that we have learned in our last video is that there is a cake shop that keeps cakes inside it is kind of store. Then there was there was action that customer came and told us that I want to buy a cake, and the reducer is a shopkeeper that present a cake, remove it from the shelf, print a receipt and reduce the stock from the shop. So let's assume that we are tracking the number of cakes on the shelf in our application. What we have to do here is we have to create a state object like this. Like for example, I have a number of cakes 10 available. Whenever I am selling this cake, it should go down to 9, 8, 7 to keep track of number of cake. And this object will be stored in a store or in a Redux store that later on we will be subscribed in our JavaScript application. Let's move forward to our second principle. Second principle says that the only way to change the state is to emit an action, an object describing that what happened. You cannot update the state directly. In Redux, it's not allowed to update the state directly. To update the state of an application, you need to let the Redux know about that with an action. What you want to update and how you will be updating it, what you want to update, and the second principle actually is what you want to update. I think in our case, in our cake case, that we are going to reduce the cake in each single time. So that will tell we will tell with the help of an action. Second principle is to pass an action or to dispatch an action. And the cake shop let the shopkeeper to know about the action. For example, in our case, it's buy a cake. Whenever someone buy a cake, I have to reduce the to reduce the number of cakes. How we can reduce the number of cake? Let's see in next slide. But keep it in mind that the action is nothing but just an object that keeps your intentions. In our case of cake shop, our action is a kind of object that keeps a type key inside it, and that takes a string buy cake as an input or as an action. We want to know that what is the action. So similarly, there are two different principles we had learned until now. First of all is to keep all the states in single object tree under store. Second thing is you cannot update the state directly. You must pass or emit or dispatch an action object to where? To your reducer. That's the third step. Reducer, actually, to specify third principle is to specify how the state tree is transformed by an action. You write pure reducer for that to update your states. The reducer is the one that will take your previous state as an input or your stored states as an input and an action that you will pass to it. Both objects will go as an input and it will return you a new state. Let's keep an eye on cake shop. In cake shop, reducer is the shopkeeper that will remove the cake from the shop and reduce the number of cake by 1 in each event occur or each action occur, that is buy cake. So how it will look like? Constant reducer that will take the state as an input or as a parameter and action as a parameter. Like principle 1 describes the state that is inside the store. Principle 2 describes the action that will go as an input over third principle, and we will be having a switch statement that will identify as over case. For example, if the case is buy cake, what we have to do is we have to reduce the number of cake from the last state value. For example, last was 8, it will be reduced by -1 and the new state will be 7 and we will return that state from the reducer. So this is how all three core basic principles of Redux will work. What we need for Redux is three things: state objects or store within the state, store that keeps state object. Second thing is we have to define an action, we have to dispatch an action, you can say, or we have to let Redux know our intentions. And the third step is to write a reducer that will implement the actions to our states, because state is only a read-only property for us in the form of Redux. So let's take an overview how it will look like in JavaScript app. Let's say I have a JavaScript app and then I have separately a Redux store that keeps a state inside it. So we have to subscribe, or we need that store in our JavaScript application, or we had subscribed that store in our JavaScript application. So what we have to do here is we cannot update the state that is coming from Redux Store directly. What we have to do is instead we have to pass or dispatch an action. That action will allow us to update the store state with the help of reducer. And then the updated state will be presented to JavaScript app because our app is subscribed by that Redux Store. I think that the picture of Redux or the core concept of Redux is pretty much clear for you guys. Let's move forward and try to start implementing practically with the help of code Redux, how we can implement that. So see you in the next tutorial with practical implementation. Until then, take care, goodbye, and please don't forget to subscribe and like our channel. Thank you.